Okay, now in this video, we want to evaluate the following functions by creating and cancelling common factors. Good. So we have the first to be limit as x tends to 1 of 1 minus square root of x, then divided by 1 minus x. So as I have written here, creating and cancelling common factors. Now, looking at the numerator and denominator, okay, why do we even need to create a common factor and why do we even need to cancel it, right? Good. Okay. If you've watched the video where we had to evaluate limits of functions just by substitution, right? So when we have x tends to a certain number, we substitute that number into the function and then we check what it gives us. But in this case, as x tends to 1, okay, if you plug in 1 into x in this function, you have square root of 1. Square root of 1 is 1, right? That is going to be 1 minus 1, which gives us 0 in the numerator. Then we do the same thing, 1 here, which gives us 0 again in the denominator. So we call this form 0 over 0, an indeterminate form, right? Good. So in this case, we will not just evaluate this limit by substituting 1 in place of x. So what we need to do here is to try to cancel common factors. But unfortunately, there is no how we would just cancel common factors, given that we didn't even have factors that are common in numerator and denominator. So in such case, we need to create, right, first, before we cancel. Alright, so let's see how we will evaluate the first question. So I said limit as x tends to 1 of 1 minus square root of x divided by 1 minus x. Good. So to create common factors, we need to recall something about rationalization of sorts, alright, where we have to multiply the fraction by 1, right? Good. But anyway, let's just say we didn't learn that, but let's just do it right away. So I'm going to write out the function. I just want to deal with the function first, alright? I want to create common factor and I want to cancel it thereafter. Then we take the limit as x tends to 1, right? So let's write out the function 1 minus square root of x, then divided by 1 minus x. Good. I'm going to multiply this fraction by 1. And the kind of 1 I'm going to multiply it with is of this form. 1 plus the square root of x divided by 1 plus square root of x. Good. So I've multiplied the fraction by 1. Why I said I multiply the fraction by 1 is this. This is divided by this, the two of them are the same. So the division will give us 1, right? If you multiply something with 1, you've not changed that thing. Good. So I multiply this fraction with 1, and the kind of 1 is the conjugate of the numerator. I know that when I expand this bracket, right, I'm going to get common factors. Good. So when you're given something like that and you have to create, just try to multiply numerator and denominator by conjugate of one of these, so that after expansion, you would get common factors. So how you will know this is going to be based on familiarity. So you need to get used to it, right? By solving more examples. Okay, great. So let's expand the numerator by just expansion. This times that, and so on. So 1 times the first one, right? That is 1. Then 1 times square root of x gives us, so maybe let me show you a pattern we're going to be following. We have 1 times 1, and then 1 times the next number. So we also use negative square root of x to do same, right? So 1 plus the square root of x. The negative square root of x times 1 is negative square root of x, and then negative square root of x times positive square root of x, that will give us negative square root of x squared, right? Negative times positive will be negative, then square root of x times square root of x, that is square root of x squared. But anyway, square root of x squared, the square and the square root cancel, and we are just left with x, right? So in that place, I can just write down x only. Good. Oh, that is possible whenever the number the input x is bigger than 0. And then the denominator, we expand it 1 times 1, right? So you just do the arithmetic. We're going to have this. Okay, good. And then let's simplify things a little bit. So in the numerator here, this and this will cancel. You know, they are equal and opposite in sign. This is positive and this is negative of the same thing. Good. So we are left with 1 minus x, right? 1 minus x. Oh. This denominator, okay, we don't have to expand it. Sorry. Let's keep it as it was. So it was 1 plus, it was like this. This is 1 minus x, and then this is 1 plus square root of x. Okay, so you just keep it like that. We don't expand it because we are looking for factors, right? So that we can cancel. So expanding it means we are going to do more work by taking it back to its form. So keeping it like this, right? So I'm going to put that there, and you can see that this and that will cancel, right? So that will be 1 minus x, and then 1 plus square root of x. So we're going to cancel, and we are left with 1 over 1 plus square root of x. So I can take the limit as x tends to 1 of 1 over 1 plus the square root of x, right? Good. So by looking at this, as x tends to 1, let's do a substitution. Square root of 1, that is going to be 1. Then 1 plus 1, that is 2. So we're having 1 over 2, right? Good. So that is the limit of that function. 1 over 2 is the limit of this function as x tends to 1. That is just by creating and cancelling common factors. Right, great. Okay, let's go over and solve the second question.